Pope Francis has approved the canonization of wartime preacher Peter ToRot to become Papua New Guinea's first saint. Peter ToRot led a Catholic mission during the Japanese occupation of PNG during World War II. To tell us more about this historic news, I'm joined by Rochus Tatamai, Archbishop of Rabaul in PNG, and he joins me now. Archbishop Rochus Tatamai, welcome to the program.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on.
Now, how big is this news for PNG to soon have its very own saint, and what's been the reaction in Papua New Guinea?
I think it's the biggest news that we can have ever, given the uniqueness of the fact that Peter ToRot is the first Melanesian to be raised to this level in the Catholic Church, and that he is a layman, not a missionary. And he was also just a second-generation Catholic.
Yes, and is it just members of PNG's Catholic community, the Catholic Church, who are celebrating? I'm imagining that this is big news for the entire country, but also the region in the Pacific.
It is a big news for the rest of the country. If you may hear, recently, I think just last week, the Parliament had an amendment on declaring Papua New Guinea a Christian country. And also, this is almost at the eve of our 50th independence anniversary. And this news is coming through, is breaking news. But importantly, it's a recognition of the fact that Pope Francis just visited the country months ago, and this all happened very, very quickly.
Archbishop, what can you tell us about the life of Peter ToRot and why is he such a revered figure in PNG?
I think the one big fact is that the simplicity of his life. He was totally unknown during the Second World War. That when the Japanese came to Rabaul in 1942, the first thing they did was to get all the missionaries into internment, and gradually from Unapope, the mission station, further back into the jungle, the Romale, which is the concentration camp. And the parish priest, Father Karlaufa, when he left the parish, called him as the catechist. He was the helper in the parish, and just entrusted him the whole responsibility to take care of his people. And that's what he did. He moved around during the time of the war, visiting communities, praying with them, encouraging them. I think the biggest test came when the Japanese were seeing that they were losing grip from the Allies. They decided to win local support. They called all the chiefs and told them that it was okay for them to return back to polygamy. And that was the greatest test that Peter ToRot has to stand against, to saying that we cannot just defy Christ's teaching. We have to remain faithful to the sacrament of marriage, one man, one woman, for the sake of family and stability. And that cost his life. So I think Pope Francis has mentioned this from the start, that this is the kind of saint we need today to strengthen and to inspire families today.
Yes, and then can you describe to us as well the process by which he is being canonized? Because this is something that you've been involved with in terms of the work that you're doing.
Yes, the whole process, first they have to exhume the bones from the cemetery to examine that it was truly him. And what they found was his catechist cross. That was the confirmation that that was him. And eventually that was for the preparation of the beatification back in 1995. And the process has been that we've been waiting for a miracle to take place. And given our situation in Papua New Guinea, we tell many stories about miracles happening. It's very hard for us to document them. And that is one of the tributes that we have to register with the Vatican, that our people are very good in living tradition rather than writing stories. And that was one of the considerations that you have to give to us, that we are a strongly oral tradition.
And from the oral traditions and stories that are passed down, what were or was the miracle that was performed by Peter ToRot?
In this particular case, we have to collect all the stories. There were so many because of the popular piety that happened amongst the people. We have to collect all these stories, document them all, and we have to present this to the Vatican as credible stories of people in their personal lives that they obtain graces and favors through their prayers, through the intercession of Blessed Peter ToRot. So this has to be examined by the Vatican, and I think that was the meeting that they just had. That's why Pope Francis, in his visit to us, was actually maybe impressed with the simplicity of this life, that it was a witness that is necessary for our time today.
Yes, and so when will he officially become a saint?
We are waiting on that now. I think the pathway now that Pope Francis has made the declaration, there's three of them that are now ready for the canonization, and as a sign of the decree that officially accepting them, and then it will be a matter of announcement from the Vatican to us what will be the date and what will be the time. So everybody is just now waiting. That will be the formalities that we will be just waiting for. But the biggest thing is going through the process to, putting the fact that Peter ToRot did witness his faith, especially amongst the trying times, and the missionaries were the first to acknowledge the fact that while they were not there, he was working amongst these people, and when they returned, they found out that he was no longer alive. He was already buried, and that's when the story started to grow.
Yes, and are you privy to at least one of these stories to sort of that advanced his beatification back in 1995?
The biggest story, I think, the fact that the challenge was really, my grandfather is the elder brother of Peter ToRot, and when the Japanese allowed the polygamy to take place, my grandfather, including the chief, they were the elders in the village, both took second wives. And Peter ToRot has to challenge both of them, even though the culture would say that he was a younger man and he should respect his seniors. But he actually challenged both of them. So actually, with this instance, he went against the culture, that he challenged them because he said that we have to obey Christ and not just follow the Japanese. And the story at locally is that my grandfather and the chief were part of the plot against him. So they actually sided with the Japanese, but eventually my grandfather was apologetic, sympathetic, and joined him at the end. That they both went to prison, but he didn't change the fact that the local people keep telling me that you have to tell your grandfather to apologize, that he himself betrayed his brother. And that was the greatest case when when Christianity and the martyrs have to come, you have to stand alone and be convinced about what you hold as your firm faith in Jesus Christ and his values.
Yes, and how big a priority was this for Pope Francis, because he visited Papua New Guinea last year, but this announcement came so shortly after the Pope was released from hospital and is still recovering from double pneumonia?
Actually, when we were doing the process itself, when he visited Papua New Guinea, people may recall that he went to Wanimo. And in Wanimo, these are the missionaries from Argentina. They are working. And one of the missionaries, he was the one actually working with the process, the cause for Peter ToRot for the canonization. And when they met, Pope Francis did say to him that he really wanted to canonize Peter ToRot because of the example and the role model that is necessary for the Christian inspiration for our people today.
Okay, Archbishop Rochus Tatamai, thank you very much for telling us more about the man who will become Papua New Guinea's first saint. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
And thank you very much for having me on your program.